Today I'm going to teach you how to make the simplest plant hanger ever with the square knot. Check out my video about how to get started on this. We're going to use 8 strings at 66 inches times 2. Alright, so now I've got my 4 strings. I'm going to work with 4 at a time. Over, under, and through is our pattern. You'll notice that I've started with the left string, and so now I'm going to switch to the right string. Over, under, and through. You can do this as many times at the top of the plant hanger as you would like to. Sometimes I like to stick with 2, sometimes I like to stick with 8 and put a bead in the middle. And then I'll show you how to do beads later on in this video. Over, under, through. That's our pattern. You'll notice that the pattern that we're making has a nice indentation overlap, I would say, on the sides. And right here, this string here, that's the one that's making that decorative detail on that right side. And then this one, the one that is overlapping, it's making that on the left side. So the one that is always overlapping, the one at the top, that's the one that's going to make that line there. And so I like to alternate those back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now I'm going to switch to 4 more strings. And you're going to keep doing this with all 16 strings. Again, you've cut 8 strings, folded it at the top, and made 16. Once all sides are complete, now you can go to the next step. I'm going to use this plant hanger that I made previously to measure kind of where I want to go with those next square knots. I'm going to go with 6 inches, 5-6 inches. It really doesn't have to be precise. I make all kinds of different designs, but I'm going to go with 5 or 6 inches down. So I've got to combine 2 of our sections here. So I'm going to take the inside strings of both of those sections and then the outside strings and continue with that square knot. Moving on, go with the next 2 sections. And you'll notice that I'm hanging this up against a door. And I like to do that rather than sitting it on a table a lot of times when it comes to this part, because I can get the right length for these square knots. They'll all line up around the same height. And again, sometimes I've made these where they're at different heights. You can do that. This square knot is very, very versatile. So again, I'm taking 4 strings from 2 sections, the next 2 sections here, and creating another square knot. Square knot is technically the over, under, and through on one side, and then switching over, under, and through on the next side. So you're making 2 passes there. Now I'm going to show you how to thread a bead through the strings between two square knots. This particular bead has a really small hole, so I only have room for one string to go through. I'm going to twist the string really, really tightly until I can fit it through that hole. And you can also put some glue on the end of it and let it dry. You can blow it with a blow dryer or just leave it on there for a couple hours and it'll get really nice and stiff. You want to make sure you've got a nice point. So kind of like work that glue into the threads and make a little nice point so it'll fit in there. Otherwise, it's just not going to go in. But that second string is going to go behind the bead. Otherwise, if we had a big enough hole for our bead, then we would put both strings in there. But it's so easy to just tuck it behind. I get my beads all over the place, and a lot of times I will spray paint them. And this is a spray painted bead. They're wooden beads. Okay, another 5/6 inches for our next section. Just going to measure there. And I'm going to gather once again two strings from one section, two strings from another section. And I like to line it up so that they're the ones that are side by side each other. And I'm going to make a square knot with this section, go on to the next section and make another one until I've got 4 square knots all the way around. This is our last section. So another gathering of 4 strings. And this is a really good time to look at my length of string because I want to make a wrapping knot at the very bottom to secure everything. And looking at my shortest string right there, I can see that I want to put my wrapping knot right there. So I've made the square knots for this section. Now that I've completed the last section, I'm ready for the wrapping knot. This is a piece of string that is about 18 inches long, and you can cut it anywhere from 15 to 18 inches depending on how many times you want to wrap around. This is the same knot that was used at the very top. So you're going to make a loop and then wrap it around behind all of the strings. I like to do it at least 3 times, if not 5. It looks really nice with about 5 times. It just depends on what I'm going for. But again, this wrapping knot is also the same one at the very top. So you're going to hold onto that bottom string and pull up there. And the whole goal is to just hide the knot at the bottom. And then once you've done that, then you've pulled enough. You can kind of move those strings around to hide it. I like to cut that part. And then I'm going to cut my strings as a final touch to this beautiful design.